is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
How good is that?
Welcome to the podcast. Great to have you on board for a very special podcast today because it's not often you have such a phenomenal discovery, Fitz, you might say.
Yeah, I know. We've been looking for this treasure for 5 years now, and the pirate ship that we bought 10 years ago has finally worked for us.
Yeah.
So we are on the hunt for the treasure on Magnetic Island.
What are you talking about? I don't know what
don't
storybook
know.
you're reading,
I
but
don't know.
I don't know if you'd call this treasure. It was actually dug up in our producer Thomas Brian Ivy's garden.
Oh, it was at another body.
No, it wasn't another body. No, we cleared those out. But this is a discovery like nothing else. Like if you had to put a price on it, I would say priceless.
Yeah, I nearly wanted to call the police over this discovery.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Did you really, Tom?
Yeah.
What did your wife think?
What, you found your dignity?
I'm still searching. but
Digging for your dignity?
My wife was shocked. Her drawer dropped to the ground when she saw this.
Her drawer or her drawer?
Sorry, her drawers. Her drawer.
Kept it in her top drawer.
Well, when you actually
The
find
drawers.
out what it is, the drawers may have dropped.
Well, you'll find out on the podcast. We're joined with Chrissie Swan today. Kate returns on Monday.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
It is your Wednesday morning, guys. Win Wednesday, win the week. I'll tell you who is. And I've warned you about this, Ryan James. In fact, I may have even written a book called The Far Too Personal Trainer. One lady has come out and said, I need to confess I'm having a steamy affair with a personal trainer. And I felt the only thing I feel bad about is my husband is paying for the sessions.
Oh, that's shocking.
How's this? So her name is Eliza. James is the bloke, right? James gives her a $5,000 a month allowance. She said, when I met James, the one thing I liked was his suit and his Rolex. Oh, here we go.
What is she buying? Is she buying equipment with that?
She's paying for Rob the trainer, and she says it's also for shopping and beauty.
Yeah, well, her whole life sounds like it's full of Eliza and deceit.
That's pretty good, mate. Eliza and receipts. So sort of double.
No, I would have gone with mine first of all.
You
I
could have
think
gone
that's
with
where that was
receipts, though. Like, that was...
That's not bad.
So she will book a 9 o'clock, sort of a 9 a.m. personal training session.
Yeah.
And instead of going down to the park in her training gear, she walks straight through the park where he will have organised a hotel room, the personal trainer.
Yeah.
And that's where the real workout will take place.
Well, it's not at my gym. My gym, the PT's at my gym. You've got a mix. There's a mix of a couple of youngsters who have just started. They're really enthusiastic. And then you've got a couple of oldies just that look like, what am I doing with my life? Like, they're fed up. They've had enough.
What's that thing that you get on where you roll your arms over like your legs are on a bike?
The grinder.
The grinder. You're on grinder, that's right.
I'm on grinder, yeah.
You'll do
regular.
an hour on grinder, won't you?
Mate, grinder, I would love to see you on the
Out
grinder
of
for a
context,
minute.
Fitz.
On the grinder for 1 minute.
I don't think I'm into the grinder. I don't reckon it's for me. Mate,
You're not into the exercise.
you know, I've got a new personal trainer. He's organising a hotel room on grinder for me. Mate, you know that I've been down at Icebergs. I've got me budgie smugglers, mate. And I'm cutting laps in the pool at Icebergs.
Why don't you just tell everyone the history of your personal trainers?
Yeah.
What's the quickest time you've got rid of a personal trainer, mate? What's the quickest time that you've hired a personal trainer and then got rid of them?
You got to find the right one. I did. You know, there's a gym I drive past on New South Head Road.
You still haven't answered the question. Tell them about your
warming
men's
up.
health.
I'm warming up. And I bought a 10-session pass. Did not use one of them. I walked in on the first one and I went, no, not for me. Not for me at all. Now, that was terrible, mate. I mean, Men's Health came to me. They said, we want you on the front cover of the magazine.
Because they've had some beauties. Larry Emder, Sammy Mack did an absolute belter. Joel Chrissie looked amazing.
Yeah.
Joel Chrissie did the hard
beautiful.
yards for 6 months. 6 months. How long did you last?
Well, look, it was about 45 minutes before the injury took place due to the lack of injury. Why am I getting booed for getting injured? Guys, and do you know what I'd like to say to Men's Health? if you want to put someone healthy on the front of the magazine, they don't need to be ripped.
Yeah.
Someone like me with a dad bod covered in hair who's proud of their body can also be healthy.
I think
So
they
put me as is on the front cover.
someone in a brainstorming session got it completely wrong. Michael Whitfley, men's health? No, men's wealth.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
I want to brag for a moment, but I'm setting up this story because we're going to end up at a different story to this. But one of the most amazing things, and I have a witness, Thomas Brian Ivey was there.
Yeah, I saw this with my very own eyes.
We caught up on the holidays. There was kids at the park who were running around. Can I just describe to you what this park looked like? Long grass, like an unkept paddock. And then there was sort of a play area with a whole lot of tan bark. And very quickly it turned into a game of hide and seek with the kids. What else do you do on your holidays? Like, I'm just making up games and you revert to a couple of the classics.
So glad my playground era is over.
Oh, no,
That
we're
is
still...
fresh
We're behind.
hell.
We're behind the trees. We're behind the playground. Anyway, Lisa is the monster, and she is running around trying to find the kids. All of a sudden, she grabs onto her ear and she says, "Oh my God, I've lost my earring. My earring's fallen off."
Great ploy.
Size
Great
of
ploy
this
by
park is probably 2 acres.
Oh,
Right. So very
and I'm
quickly.
betting that Lisa's earring is not like the ones I'm wearing. I got a Lovisa in January and I get lots of silver hoops that are guaranteed
Yeah.
to turn your earlobes black.
Yeah,
and I
they're
buy
similar.
20 of them, and then if they pop out, it doesn't matter.
No, they were sort of, well, what the thing was, they were sort of hand-me-down, so they were sentimental. So very
an heirloom,
quickly.
if you will.
Yeah, thank you. That was the word I was looking for. So anyway, we brought everybody in, game of hide and seek over. Now it turned into find the earring. So for the next hour, I reckon it was a game of find the earring. $50 prize money.
And
find the earring.
And why was Lisa looking in Tiffany's while you guys were at the playground?
Well, she contacted the insurance broker really quickly. I didn't even know where she'd gone.
Have you guys found anything yet? I found something.
Have you, darling? Have you, sweetheart? That's good. So I turn into tiger mode and I'm in the long grass. This was
I can see this.
yeah, I'm in shorts, in
On all
long
fours.
t-shirt shorts and a pair of Crocs crawling around in the long grass. Luckily,
Yeah, because who's paying the excess? This
you know
chump.
what I mean? Yeah, I know what's going to happen here. I know
Yeah.
exactly what's going to happen. So all of a sudden, I see a small glimmer in the long grass, and it's quite actually needle in a haystack type stuff.
Wow.
And I went, you're not going to believe this. I bloody found it. Just the sharpest eye in the park. It's tiny. It's a tiny stud, Chrissie Swan. And there
Like
it
your
was.
good self, Whipper. The tiniest stud there is.
And shrinking daily.
Chrissy, you've been here for one day. You'll learn very quickly not to compliment like that.
I mean, that's the story I wanted to share on Great Finds over the summer holiday.
That is extraordinary, Whipper. I've got like full body goosebumps
Yeah, it was
about
wild.
it. It's so good.
But you know what, Chrissy? It's not a scratch on the story that I want Tom Ivey to tell of another amazing find over our holiday. Now, Chrissy, I just sent you a video that I want you to watch. Because, Tom, if you could paint a picture, it looked like a pretty busy gardening weekend.
Yeah, on Australia Day, so on Sunday, we were doing some gardening, and as you do, so the whole family was out there. And we have a very small garden with some grass, and then a row of agapanthus, so a row of aggies.
Yep.
And we're pulling one of them out, and I entrusted the help of my 3-year-old son Hugo, who's got quite a green thumb, and
Who's a big Agapantha fan, isn't he? He loves
huge.
the Penrith boys.
Loves the Aggies, and so I had him in the garden, and then suddenly he pulls something out of the garden, like from just under the
Didn't
dirt.
look like a plant.
That wasn't a plant. I think there's. Do you want some audio?
Yeah, we've got the audio here of your wife's reaction.
Yeah, there's Hugo here and my wife's reaction to the garden.
What is that? I don't know. It's not alive. I don't know. It's like a light what goes up there. What is that?
Inge, you know exactly what it is, and it wouldn't surprise me if you buried it there trying to hide it a few weeks ago.
What is it?
Well, I don't know how.
Did
I
he
don't know how.
say it's not alive?
It's not a light. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he said it's not alive.
That's what I thought.
Oh no, he did say it's not alive, and then he said
there's a switch at the bottom if the batteries haven't run out. It'll come alive.
it was.
Tommy,
Yeah.
is that where you bury it?
It was covered in dirt.
Were you trying to grow a tree of them, Tom?
and very large, very rubbery, of course.
Yes.
But it wasn't a rubber plant.
I tell you what, it reminds me. It reminds me of sort of the set of that Don Burke video where he's sort of gently caressing the inside of a monsteria. I believe it is. I believe that is what has occurred in your garden.
And he's also caressing the inside of the guest that's on the show.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Let's talk about coaches. If you, I love it. I just love a good coach. Have you got that?
Never forget your code.
You know what? If you
What's this?
if you've had a mentor or a great coach over the years, you never forget it. But there's also, you have some shockers. There's some shocking coaches out there as well. Do you know what's even worse than a bad coach? Parents who feel like their kids aren't getting enough time.
Put my kid in the ruck.
So this is, I've got one of my best mates is an under-13s football coach, and he said the bane of my existence is dealing with parents.
Yep.
Like it's not the kids. I love the kids. It's just the parents. The St. Louis youth football team have had the rest of their season cancelled after a player's parent allegedly shot the coach multiple times for not putting his son as a starter for the team.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, the coach is fine. He's okay. He said, I still have bullet fragments in my body. I can still feel it. But by the grace of God, man, I'm blessed that I'm still here. He's going to go back and coach the kids as well. He said, I love those kids. I want to tell them to keep their heads up. This is what a fighter looks like, the coach said. Now, that's
Never forget your code.
Even though he's got 9 holes in him.
That is unbelievable. And so the parent approached the coach after the game and just said, "Why didn't Johnny get a go?" And he said, "Oh, mate, just with the team plan and stuff like that. It was his turn to take a bit of a break." And then the dad's got out a gun and shot him 3 times.
Do you know what's hard, Fitz? And you would have seen this too in the younger years where a lot of the work down at the footy club is voluntary and it comes down to the parents to put their hand up and say, yeah, I'll run this drill.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than seeing a parent who, yes, they do the right thing and they put their hand up and they say, yeah, I'll run the drill, but they've got no idea what they're doing. You can tell when they handle the ball, they've never handled the ball before, and they can't run the drill. And you sit back and go, how do I say to him, do you want me to take over? Do you want me to have a look at it for you, mate?
Well, it was my old man coached his whole life. The one year that he didn't coach, he was runner for the team, so he would run out and deliver messages.
Yeah.
And I still remember at the end of a game, we had a great win against our fierce rivals with the Christie's Beach Saints.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, you know what? You've got to be quite humble. When you have a win over your fierce rivals, you go over and shake hands. It's sportsmanship. But when you're under 13s and you look over and your dad as the runner is having a fight with the other runner on the ground, like wrestling.
You've got to be kidding me.
We're back on the grinder again.
In the dirt, Mick Fitzgerald, water bottle under his arm.
He was honestly on the ground wrestling with the other runner.
Oh, my God.
We won the match. We had won it.
Didn't matter, Mick. It's okay, mate. We've won the fight. Isn't that extraordinary?
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
We had the AGM at the footy club last night.
Yeah.
I love an annual general meeting. A lot of people
Said
think,
no one ever. Oh my God. It is an automatic polite decline every time I see those 3 letters together.
Chrissie, he would be the guy who waits for the other part when they get to the end of it and they go, any other issues? And then Fitzy would have a joke ready to go.
Keep a lid on it.
You're going to put a statue of me out the front?
the tradition has been at our footy club for years is that people go there and have a couple of beers because you need a certain amount of life members and members there to vote
I bet you they don't cost $22 at the footy club.
Oh, no, they don't. They're a lot cheaper there. You can get them a lot cheaper. But so anyway, we're at the annual general meeting, and you go through the budgets and all this kind of. You find out who's the volunteers that are ripping you off, because there's always a couple of those at each footy club. But anyway, we start it, and Dan, the president, gets up, Chrissie, and he's on the microphone and. He starts talking and he kicks off the minutes, and then all of a sudden it sounds like there's feedback in the speakers. Mm-hmm. So it's getting really annoying. So Dan keeps talking. He can't really hear it. And someone says, Dan, sorry, mate, from the back. Sorry, mate, there's feedback coming from the speakers. And everyone went quiet, and you can slowly hear this. and so we're checking the speakers. Yeah. We turn it off, we turn it back on, and it's annoying. It's still there, and then someone's walking around the room, and they realise that it's my dad's hearing aid, and he turned it up too.
I thought the Bluetooth had connected to the speakers.
And Dad is sitting there going, I'm so sorry, is it me? I just had to turn it up because there was too many voices in the room.
Oh, wait a minute, if it sounded like ooh to you, what did it sound like in Mick's head?
No wonder he's deaf.
I know. Do you know what? I spoke to Mum the other day, and you know what? My old man turns 80 this year, but he's on the decline. Mum said... He went to a mate's house the other day in his car. He left the car on in the driveway for an hour and a half. Mum walked past and was yelling at the car going, Mick, you've left the car on. And she looked in the car. He wasn't even there. He was inside having a cup of tea with his mate and left the car on in the driveway for an hour and a half.
Maybe the battery needed charging, thought the alternator might kick in.
That's very harsh to say that is because of old age, because if you're listening, Mick, take heart. On the way in today, right, in the morning, I've entered my olives era, and they are my snack of choice.
Okay.
I decided it yesterday.
Yeah, sure, welcome.
And as I was walking out of the house this morning, I thought, okay, I'm going to start today with my olives. And I put them on the top of the car, and I packed the rest of the car. Anyway, on the way in, about 10 minutes into the drive, I heard an almighty crash. And I thought, oh, God, that was me, something. I did a U-turn, I went back, and all over the road were my olives. Now, if Mick had done that, you would have been saying, oh, he's on the decline, he forgot his olives, he left them on the top of the car. But I'm a young and vital woman, so it happens to everybody. Now, I can't get rid of this buzzing in my ear. My hearing aid is up way too loud. Can I have some assistance?
Oh, that's our show, Swatty. That's our show.
No, his glory days are over. It's done and dusted. Dad is done, unfortunately. So.
Oh, sorry, Rick. We've written you off this morning.
I know.
You should organise a big 80th for him.
Yeah, we are.
Great.
We are.
We'd love to come along.
But see, he doesn't want to move too far. This is the thing. We were going to go interstate. We were going to go somewhere really nice. But Dad goes, no, I want all my friends there. And there's only 3. They're all dead.
Maybe that's why he's got his car running the entire time, just so he can nick off as quick as possible. He was doing a robbery.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
I want to get into wedding vows and questionable wedding vows. If you've been to a wedding before and someone's done something different for their vows, I mean, I know, you want to change things up. It might be humorous. You might perform it. I've got some audio for you soon. But actually, just on weddings, maths is heating up. Bloke last night, Kate and Tim's wedding. Tim's got a nose ring. Tim put too much trust into the producer. And when they were off the camera, Tim went over to the producer just to say a few words, thinking, oh, this won't get on the show. It's maths, mate. Have you not watched maths before?
There's no such thing as off camera, Tim.
Come on, Timmy.
So this is Tim talking to the producer about just meeting Kate for the first time at the wedding.
Just no attraction. There's nothing there. And I can tell straight away, and it's just sort of like...
You don't even know her yet.
I know, but if there's just nothing there, what do you do?
Do you know
What
what?
he's saying, he knows that he doesn't want to touch her in her private bathing suit area.
Do you know what?
Already.
And he also, Chrissie, in that same moment, he's saying, the girl that I asked for, so he'd put it like it was some sort of Uber Eats order. He said, I wanted something petite, someone like I didn't care blonde or brunette. I wanted something petite. He's calling her overweight. That's what he's doing.
Oh, God, I hate him. I've never even seen
You got a nose ring, mate.
What's wrong with a nose ring?
On a man.
It's a great indicator of a midlife crisis.
If I see a man with a nose ring and denim shorts, you know that he needs help immediately.
A nose ring and denim shorts?
God. See you later.
Lord.
Denim shorts are in, mate.
No, they're not.
Let's talk vows, though. And on maths, there's questionable vows. A lot of them go for humour. But I want to hear from you, 13 24 10. What have you seen at a wedding before? Because this has just gone viral, this clip from the weekend. The bride and groom decided to rap and put their own song together for their vows.
Great idea.
Profess their love on a microphone, Chrissie. Are you ready? Is everybody ready for this?
Okay.
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, this is the performance of the vows at the wedding on the weekend.
I will give you all of me as long as I'm alive. When it's tough, I will not run. I'll stick right by your side. You held it down when I declared a war on my own pride. With zero hesitation, I am making you my wife. Do you want something real? Yeah, yeah. Hey, William, tell me how you feel. Yeah, yeah. We love me every day. Yeah, 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 yeah. We buy your heavy pay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Do you want something real? Yeah, yeah. Will you always tell me how you feel? Yeah, yeah. Will you love me every day? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where you're at and pray. Yeah, 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 yeah. Y'all like that?
I don't know how I would feel if I was at a wedding and that performance was happening in front of me.
I think it's one of those things where you have to be there. That's like an in-joke and the people there enjoyed it. But because we don't know those people, it just sounds like the daggiest, lamest thing in the world. I've never been married, so I've never had a wedding. I haven't had vows. Did you guys have different vows? Like I remember Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston they were the first ones to sort of customise it. And she said that she would always make him his favourite banana thick shake. And at that time, I thought it was very cool.
Yeah. I think we just went with standard vows, just straight out of the book kind of gear.
Well, that's
opportunity missed.
You rip them from somewhere else. Some of the comments in this video afterwards, where people were talking about their vow experience, but a woman said, I went to a wedding where the groom was 65 and the bride was 32, and the groom said, I promised to get older with you and watch you grow. I met you a long time ago and you have become a wonderful young woman.
Oh, what a creep.
Someone cue stings don't stand so close to me. That is bizarre.
Someone else said, my husband and I went to a wedding last year where the bride and groom were gym junkies and they vowed to be swole mates instead of soulmates.
What is swole? Is that what fit people say? What does it mean?
Well, it's when you do weights and you swell up. It's swole
They'll
mates.
regret that.
Mates.
They'll regret that when they're on the couch eating Doritos watching Netflix in 4 years, which is what happens.
Thank you.
And another woman said, I work at a wedding venue and there were so many bad vows. A man once ended by saying, and you know we got married today on a Friday because Saturday's for the boys.
Oh, the lads.
Oh, my God.
The worst bloke ever. Put him in the running for this year's award. Okay.
Right. Who went outside the square, okay, for their vows, questionable vows, if you've seen some.
This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Danielle in Panania, what non-traditional event happened at the wedding?
The vows were said, and they were all footy puns, actually, AFL ones, like in goals are behind, in shanks and sprays, blah, 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 we'll be together. But the other interesting thing is there was a girl who is really into football and coaches state league and stuff. Yeah. She, instead of having a bouquet, had a football.
Awesome.
So instead of throwing the bouquet, she threw the football.
And did you have to header it, Danielle, or did you had to catch it?
You had to catch it. I hoped that there was a big scrum, but there wasn't.
That's
big stacked
amazing.
on. But
It's
it was
just
pretty
amazing.
It's sort of like a coach's address in a way, isn't it? A motivational coach's address. If you love your footy so much, it's like you're talking to the team, isn't it? Getting them ready for the last half.
Well, hopefully you're only key player. That's the thing, the one you love. Thanks, Danielle.
I've got no idea what you're talking about. Football. I would have been at that wedding and talking about football things and just going, okay, whatever.
I'm sure
Where's
to
the
someone.
cake? Yeah.
Another clanger. Gavin in Lane Cove, what happened with your wedding vows, Gav?
Well, it was my wife, actually, that messed up.
What
So
happened?
we decided to do our own vows. So, and also we were cruising on a cruise ship at the time. So we had days, a week before to prepare. And I kept asking her, have you practiced your vows? And she said, no, all good. So it comes the big day. I did my thing just fine. And then when it's her turn, she choked. And she said she promised to be nice.
That's about it. And
That's great.
Gav, is it
Not
true?
to mention she was late to her own wedding, and her sister, the maid of honor, forgot the ring as well, and had to run back to the cabin to grab it.
It
Gav.
sounds like someone is due for yet another late onset ADHD diagnosis. Add it to the list.
Thank you, Gav. You just celebrated 5 years too, have you, buddy?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Amazing stories.
Is she in the car with you? What's her name, Gav?
She is. Her name is Jan. She's sitting right here.
Good on you,
He
Jan.
forgot to mention that in his vows, he actually told me he was going to feed me carbs for the rest of my life, and that's why I lost my chain of thought.
Feed you carbs. Right.
Carbs.
Okay.
Well,
What a commitment.
You could be if you end up being gym junkies, you could be swole mates forever.
Gav, thanks for your call. Are we gonna...
Cheers, thanks, guys.
Oh, good on you, Gav.
I feel like that would have been a great wedding to be at with those two.
Let's be honest. When you go to a wedding, you are hoping and praying as a guest that something goes wrong, aren't you?
Oh,
For
in a perfect
entertainment.
world. Every time.
The Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Let's talk about cash and getting rich. Let's do that right now. Actually, this is. Oh, yeah, it's back.
I need you, but it talks. Yes.
This is our new big song on Nova at the moment, Money Talks.
This isn't another story about Adrian Portelli, is it?
No, it's not. I want to talk about when you're a kid and you go to someone else's house and you have this, you look around and you go, oh my gosh, this family is well off, or what it means in your mind. Because when we were talking this morning, Whip, about the government and Sydney Council's cracking down on e-bikes.
Oh, yeah.
E-bikes are out of control with kids at the moment, right, Chrissie? And my kids at the moment say, oh my God, Dad, we need to get an e-bike. You can get them pretty cheap, but that kid's got one and they're rich. So kids reckon that if other kids have an e-bike, that the family is rich. It's just in their minds that's what they're thinking, but it's a non-scientific yardstick of whether someone's rich.
How much is it to buy an e-bike? I can't ride a bike, so I don't know.
Oh, look, 3,000 to 20,000.
You're looking at around about 2,500 to 3,000, like Whip said. But what kids are doing now, Chrissie, that they're converting just your everyday bike and they're buying the add-on engines, the electric engines.
I love it,
mate. And these, Huey said, Dad, I can get it for $1,500. Like I know, and then they get up to 60 k's an hour. But these kids are riding around with surfboards on their e-bikes.
That's super rich.
But, this is the thing. They think that you're rich. And Benjamin Law, very funny man, writer, comedian, he put this tweet up in 2020. What is your non-scientific yardstick of whether someone's rich? He said, when you went to someone's house and they've got a dishwasher, you always thought that, oh, God, they're well off because they've got a dishwasher. I mean, it's more prevalent now. They're everywhere. But
you can get them from Bunnings. Like the dishwasher isn't it. When I was growing up, a family that I used to spend time with had an account at the milk bar.
Oh, wow.
They had a tab. They had
Can
a tab
you
at the milk bar.
imagine me? I could go in and put like a bag of mixed lollies and a packet of Cheezels and say to Mrs. Crivelli behind the counter, can you just put that on the account? Oh, my God. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven.
The power of that was extreme.
Yes.
You know what I reckon? I remember thinking anybody with a computer back in the day was rich.
Yeah.
Commodore 64,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I went around to Michael Birch's house in grade 2 and he had a computer and I thought, my God, this guy's probably got a super yacht.
And I bet you he had a second story in his house
Yeah, he
too.
did. Had stairs in it.
Yeah. Loaded.
Did he have a pair of Oakley frog skins
Oh,
as
he
well?
would have. He would have, mate. And Reebok pump.
And did he have a hypercolour T-shirt because he was living the dream?
Yes. I kept putting my hand on him. It got really weird.
Jessica's given us a call from Denham Court. What was the sign that someone was rich, Jess?
Morning, team. And hey, Chrissie, nice to hear from you this morning too.
Hey, thank you.
I used to think friends were rich when I would go to their house and they would have one of those fridges that had the ice dispenser at the front.
That's flash.
And when they would have crushed ice as well. And now I have one of those fridges and I think that, you know...
Oh, you're loaded,
these are the
Jess.
riches of life. I'm loaded.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
loaded.
you've arrived.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Loaded with ice, yeah.
That is one of the yardsticks that remains though. Like that was
I
rich
agree.
back then, and it's still an indicator of richness now.
It is. Ryan in Oran Park, what did your mate have growing up that made him rich, Ryan?
Mate, they had a full-on games room and it had the pool table, it had the old retro games and like PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64, had the big flat screen TV. I'm talking huge.
Yeah.
And it was like Christmas every time you went there. It was just unreal, especially for like a little kid at like 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, that is
Do you
magnificent.
know, there was a friend of mine too who had a milkshake maker. So not only did he have the flavours in the pump bottle, but he then had the silver cup that would click in and it would mix your milkshake. And I remember thinking, that is a dream come true. You guys have made it. It can't get any better.
It can't.
Chrissy, I've got one for you. One person has replied to Benjamin Law on this tweet. One word, one brand, Aesop.
That's flash.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
still refilling with palm olive?
No, can I tell you, I've got a funny story about that. I've got stunt hand wash. If like on Sunday, I had all my family over for lunch because, you know, it was like, oh, I'm going back to work. I won't see any of you ever again. And I have Aesop stunt hand wash and I bring it out for 2 hours when people come over. And then as soon as people leave, I scream at the kids like a bogan going, do not use that hand wash.
Fits in Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great shows like this, download the Nova Player via the App Store or Google Play.
The Nova Player.